All right. We are continuing to rank the position battles. If we get a shot here on 7 of me, we got the number 1 left guard spot, the number 1 safety spot, and the number 2 running back spot. Those are our top 3 questions. I know what's coming next. It's going to be wide receiver, and then we'll talk about tight end because I'm going to lead that charge. But since everybody here is thinking wide receiver, I assume.
Nope. I hadn't said that.
Okay, really?
Yeah, Ryan and I didn't say that.
Okay, well then we'll hold off. We'll let the debate rage on. You guys were going to go wide receiver.
Yes.
So tell me why. Convince this crew of why wide receiver.
Why wide receiver? You're not sure with Brew coming back how healthy he's going to be. He can look the part. He can look great on a treadmill without crutches. Chris Brazzell, great that he was an all-conference player in the AAC. Can he do it in the SEC? Squirrel White, can he do the lifting by himself? And can Mike Matthews emerge? Can some of those other pieces like Dante Thornton, who you want? Yeah, there were question marks. Yeah, maybe perhaps passes were on the back pocket from Joe Milton last year. Case of the dropsies and uncertainty, that to me is a larger question mark.
Yeah, last year's group was really disappointing. They have to bounce back this upcoming season. A lot of what we talk about with Tennessee's offensive potential is around Nico. He's got to get some help. He makes a throw in the bowl game, great throw where the ball needs to be toward the end zone, but the receiver wasn't there. So there is a lot of potential. I keep using that word, but this group has the chance to be really good. They just have to show that. And there are questions like Brew's health. Let's see him back out there. But guys emerging. Chris Brazzell is a transfer from Tulane. He has to prove it. So I think the high-end chances for this wide receiver group is ahead of running back. But the way last season went was a real disappointment. They need to bounce back in a big way.
I want to just sneak something small into the guy that's to your right. You actually pointed it out to me on the air, too, about some of these wide receivers not finishing their routes and being as crisp. The routes were dying, and then perhaps maybe the strong finish could have got him in front of the defender. You pointed that out, and I concur with you, and I'm surprised that you're not going wide receivers with us on this as well, because that was a huge point you pointed out
I think that you brought in Brazzell for this, and you don't have other options. The wide receivers are what they are, and you're already in a position, in my opinion, that you have more mouths to feed than you probably have footballs to throw around. So that's why I think tight end.
Okay, hang on 1 second. I forgot to remind people of the poll. Our director had it up there. Click the poll. Let us know what you're saying. We do have some people who've gotten cocky about Tennessee football, and it looks like we've moved from hopeful to confident.
Yes.
Let's hopeful to confident, and skeptical keeps dropping. So that's good. Keep voting, folks.
Let's take this poll the week of the opener. Those cocky numbers will creep up.
And then after the first loss, right down the end. Ryan, tight end wide receiver.
So, okay, let me clarify. Is this finding a number 1 receiver, or is this all of the wide receivers as a whole?
I think it's more about finding a number 1 receiver, but
because see, if that's the answer,
you guys are taking it as just receivers in general.
Yeah.
So if it's finding a number 1 receiver, that's at the bottom for me. I think finding a starting tight end is more important, and it's more of a question mark to me. To Will's point, I think you've got depth at receiver, you've got talent. It's just a matter of who's going to sort of emerge, and it may be a different receiver each week that's your best guy. Some weeks Squirrel's your go-to guy. Other weeks Chris Brazzell's going to have a big game. Mike Matthews might be a factor by the end of the year. Dante Thornton looks improved. So I think you've got options there. Chaz Nimrod had a nice offseason, it sounds like. So you've got plenty of bodies.
Got in games last year.
Yeah.
I mean, you know the names at receiver.
Yeah.
At tight end, you don't know the names.
At tight end, and sort of
in terms of proven here.
Sort of like my Will Brooks comment earlier, for all the talk of Holden Stays being the big transfer addition and Ethan Davis being a highly touted high school prospect, Miles Kitselman might be the starting tight end. And that's going to surprise a lot of people, but I think there's some real consideration that he's kind of more the all-around tight end, more farther along maybe right now, that he's the guy. So I think you've got to figure out that tight end position.
Yeah, none of those guys are proven here, whereas receivers, if worse comes to worse, you've got guys. I don't know what you've got at tight end. I have no clue.
Also, I need to be able to run the football in Josh Heupel's offense, and the tight end is going to help me a lot. And a lot of it's what they do with the H-back tight end.
Right.
Their running game is predicated on that.
And the Princeton Fant role really didn't get filled last year. The guy who can just be the gadget guy who can do a little bit of everything. Yes.
I've been sold. I'll go tight end over wide receiver.
Hey, there we go.
Really, or are you just going along?
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. I still think finding a number 1 guy at wide receiver is important, but I'll go tight end ahead of wide receiver.
I'll go back to what Ryan's comment was. If it was to find your number 1 guy, you throw it, you go get it, then yeah, I would put tight end ahead of it. But that room, as depth is growing for Kelsey Pope, there is still giant uncertainty. So individually, you're right. As a group, I'd flip-flop them. So, Ryan, that clarity, I'm with you on that.
Here, be the TV guy and point to these.
Yeah.
Just stick your hand in there. You go. So, number 1, left guard. Safety, number 2. Running back, the number 2 running back is the 3rd spot. Tight end, 4th. Wide receiver came in last, but at least, thank you, Thing. That was excellent. All right. Very good. Appreciate it. When we come back, One national voice has the Vols in the playoff. Cool. Ooh, but the path in that playoff is brutal. Are national championships going to be easier because more teams get in, or harder because that playoff's tough? Come on back, we'll show you where they have the Vols projected, and then we'll answer that question.